What is going on? It is Rob from Crypto Bobby, and today I want to talk about the wild and crazy move that happened with ZCash in the past 48 hours, what went on there, and a couple other cryptocurrencies that have really had an interesting move. Excited to talk about that and hopefully potentially learn a little bit of a lesson here as people evaluate some of these moves in the future as far as the market goes. Now, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. My name is Rob, again from Crypto Bobby. I do daily recorded videos on the subject of cryptocurrency as well as weekly crypto happy hours where I jump in, talk about what's happening in the market. And if you guys haven't seen the video yet, I'll link to it here, but I had an interview with the co-founder, Jesse of Bithumb, which is a really interesting company. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Wasn't sponsored, it wasn't compensated or anything like that. It was just a really fun conversation to have. Jesse was an awesome dude. He's within the Teal Fellowship program, like Vitalik, like Joey from Augur, so he is in some great company there, and they're attacking a really big global problem. So I had a great time with that interview. Look up here for that. I'll put a link there, but I definitely recommend checking that out after you watch this if you're interested in what the guys at Bithumb are trying to tackle. Now, getting into today's conversation. So in most of the big cryptocurrencies, a fairly steady day for the most part. Bitcoin and Ethereum are both down a little bit after their pretty big moves shooting above 4,000 and above 300 yesterday for Bitcoin and Ethereum respectively. So the first top 7 cryptocurrencies we can see here are down a few percentage points, which isn't really, I don't think, that big of a deal. It's a little bit of a healthy pullback just following a nice movement up yesterday. So not too concerned there, but as we scroll down here, we can see ZCash, which is up within the past 24 hours about 7%. Nothing to, within cryptocurrency, wow, 7%, not that big of a deal. But let's look at what happened in the past day or so to 7 days. So first, we'll take a look at the past 7 days. So for the most part, and this is kind of funny because I was talking a little bit about ZCash with a lot of you guys on a crypto happy hour fairly recently. The subject of privacy coins continues to be a really interesting topic of discussion, especially with a lot of the regulations coming up, especially with a lot of the cybersecurity initiatives that governments and regulatory agencies are having. So whether it's Monero, whether it's ZCash, whether it's Nav, whatever it might be, Zcoin, whatever privacy coin or the multiple privacy coins that you're thinking about, a lot of interesting things there. So I talked a little bit about Zcash when it was down at about $180 pretty damn recently, and was actually looking at it as a potential crypto to hop into. Of course, I didn't make a move because I'm dumb like that, right? But the past action as far as crypto goes, like I said, I was looking at about a week or so ago, back when it was down at around $180. As of right now, there was a point in time where it had a slow, steady movement with the market from about 180, 190, all the way up to the 230 ranges. It was somewhat steady at the 230 ranges we can see here for a couple of days. And then Zcash shot up from 230, basically overnight or within a few hours, from 230 to 285, like that. And that was a big spike. I don't remember the exact percentage-wise of that spike. Sorry for clicking the back button, my damn mouse. But I don't remember the exact percentages of that spike. But when we look at that, it was a pretty big move. Now, not only that, it stabilized a little bit after it hit 280, had a tiny bit of a pullback, started trading somewhat evenly, and then after it went up to 280, spiked instantaneously up to over $400. And a lot of people are freaking out. A lot of people are going nuts. What's happening with Zcash? What's going on with Zcash? Why is it spiking? Why is it spiking? So a lot of interesting things happen with this. You can see on CoinDesk, Zcash's wild ride in the past couple days, spiking all the way from $400. But this is, I thought, really interesting. CryptoCoinsNews.com. And this was a tweet that I saw, which was pretty interesting. Whale Panda, who's a really interesting follow on Twitter. Whale Panda, I would recommend. I'll throw his Twitter handle in the YouTube. But he tweeted out about insiders buying on the Bithumb news, or Bithumb, however you want to pronounce it, which is a massive Korean exchange. I believe someone tweeted today that there's over 2.5 billion in volume on Bithumb right now, on daily volume, $2.5 billion of daily volume on Bithumb alone. So anytime anybody gets added to Bithumb, it's a massive, massive deal. And the price of that cryptocurrency typically spikes up, goes nuts. So you can see here that there were really two levels of buying when it comes to, when it comes to crypto, or not when it comes to crypto, when it came to this news with ZCash. There was kind of there was a little steady stream up, which was just kind of relative to the market, but there was this first big pump from, it was, I believe, 230 to 280. And that was a big market movement in and of itself. I was looking at that and I was like, you know what? Zcash is pumped. I'm not going to get in. I'm gonna let it sit. Maybe I'll get in on a pullback from the 280 mark. Then it stabilized at 280, and then it just jacks up to 400 on the official announcement of it being added to Bithumb. So what does that mean? How can you kind of learn from this a little bit? So number one, there are, I guess this is somewhat confirmed now, but there was somewhat of a leaked employee document of some sort where somebody had circulated an official Bithumb document on the launch of Zcash, which got distributed to Bithumb employees and to developers that were working on the integration within the company. People were talking about that. And then as soon as the integration plans were revealed, the volume just went absolutely out of control and went up from 280 to 450 at one point in time. So, with that being said, I don't know the exact timeline of how it all happened, but when the markets have some of these movements, in my opinion at least, the cryptocurrency markets are still very much small enough where market manipulation is a very real thing. And if you see some type of spike like this, and this isn't a big cryptocurrency too. I mean, it's not incredibly huge, but from a cryptocurrency perspective, you're still talking about a top 20 crypto worth over $700 million right now. So it's not small by any stretch. And to that point, this got moved from 230 on rumors up to 280, and then a second that came out that just spiked all the way up to 400 plus. So when those movements happen, in my opinion, unless you're holding when those movements happen, it's a tough idea to buy in those green candles, because if we look back here, and I can pull up this information a little bit more as well, but if you were to buy on the actual Bithumb announcement, you are buying late and you're holding a bag. You're buying when Zcash is worth $400 or $350 or whatever, and then all the smart traders, all the people, the insiders that either legally or illegally knew about this news prior to, they're holding, they're buying beforehand, they're buying before the news comes out, and they're going to sell that bag to you, when that's at 350, 375, 400, and then you're going to end up in the YouTube comments complaining about how you bought Zcash at $400. So my thought process here is, and in a lot of cases, if you buy on the news alone, like if you buy when something gets announced, I know for a lot of newbies it's really tough out there and it's really tempting, but if you're buying after an announcement happens, you're already too late in the majority of cases. Yeah, maybe you get lucky and the price can either continue to spike or maybe there's just not a huge pullback, but typically when something spikes in crypto, there's a pretty big pullback following because smart traders are taking profits on from dummies out there that are buying at the top. So when it comes down to this, you really want to try to avoid buying at the top. And I'll pull this up here just to show you really where the top is. It's not hard to find out, but I guarantee you, you could look at this buy volume here. There are a lot of people that bought on this massive green candle that went all the way up to 450 plus. There's a lot of people that bought up here in this 400, 375 plus range that just got crushed on the way down, and you're holding the bag right now. So how do you avoid holding that bag? You don't buy on these spikes. That's one of the things you really, really want to avoid as much as possible is you don't want to buy in these spikes because ultimately somebody probably knows something that you don't, and they're going to make trades based off what you don't. And it even comes down to like what a lot of people will comment, or they'll send me a message on Twitter, or you'll send me an email. Say like, hey, the exchanges are closing down on October 30th. How should I wait and not buy anything until October 30th? Like that type of information that's been public for 2 weeks or 3 weeks already, that has already been well priced into the market. If you're finding out, if you're just, like me for the most part, I'm not some type of crypto insider where I'm making these awesome trades based upon employee knowledge and things like that. So bottom line, when it comes down to it, if you don't have that inside information and you see a massive spike in movement, in my opinion, you're probably too late. And the best way to avoid getting screwed, the best way to avoid buying the top and holding the bag, is to not make a move until something dies down and you either have good information, or alternatively, you just wait till things get cool, calm, and collected and you make your own decisions. Don't let these massive candles like this freak you out and throw you into a tailspin, and you are, Johnny Bagholder up at 420, 425, 430, or worse, 450, because there's literally, you can see here, there's a wick up there. Somebody actually bought at 450, and now it's down to 300, so you're looking at a big dip in your holdings, and that makes things tough. So just be smart when you see something happen like this. If you don't know why it's happening, if you don't know the exact causation of it, and even if you do, even if you know that news, if you didn't get in before the news, it's probably too late, and you should probably just relax, watch it happen, grab some popcorn, grab a beer, and enjoy yourself. And if you did buy beforehand, when you see these massive wicks, when you see these massive candles here, that's not always a bad time to take profits. So I think there's a lot of learning that you can do by checking out these charts on ZCash, on ZEC, because it's a really interesting scenario as far as what happens when something gets added to an exchange and how you could potentially benefit from that. So, like I said, I think it's an interesting way to learn how things move in this market, how things are driven by rumors and or insider information, and how you could potentially make money or potentially lose your damn shirt on something like this. Now, also, there's been a couple other nice market movements. Steam today had a pretty big movement based upon the announcement of basically a Steam market token, I believe it was called. So I haven't gotten a chance to read the white paper for that, but that should be interesting to see how that potentially advances Steam. And then I'll go down here to one cryptocurrency that a lot of you guys have talked about and asked me about for weeks at a time. And for the most part, I've looked at it a little bit. I really haven't done anything with it. It just, for whatever reason, wasn't something I was just super comfortable with. And it has really about 5x'd from $1, $1.20, $1.30 really to when a lot of you guys were asking, even sub-dollar, but all the way up to $150 million market cap, over $6 at one point in time. And that's WaltonCoin. And WaltonCoin has gone through the freaking roof. As far as things go, I've done a little bit of research on it, but it is, you can see here, when you want to do some research, it is not an American or an English company. You can translate a lot of what is happening there, within WaltonCoin, but it is a Chinese company, and they are looking to combine blockchain and RFID technology, which is the scanners that are used in warehouses to, pick, pack, and ship boxes and, do crazy warehousing, manufacturing, wholesale distribution type thing. So I know a lot of you guys have talked about WaltonCoin, have asked me about WaltonCoin. I haven't done a ton of research on it. I've been, dabbling and looking at it since really early September. Haven't touched it. That's obviously for, not for the best, because it's crushed it. So, as of right now, for me personally, if I'm looking at this, do I think a pullback might be in store after rocketing up from basically 5x over the course of a few days? Yeah, it's certainly possible, but as of right now, it's that type of market movement is something you want to continue to watch, because it's literally gone up, and it hasn't necessarily just been a straight up spike like Zcash was. I mean, these are pretty severe movements, but it's been kind of gradual, which is pretty crazy and interesting to see from that standpoint. I mean, it's really only traded on Binance and on Ether Delta at this point in time, but interesting market movements from WaltonCoin WTC. So not involved in it. I know, like I said, a lot of you guys have asked about it, and I can probably do a little bit more research on it. That might be one that I consider for another version of that Spacesuit X type of analysis. But for right now, that type of market movement within a week or so tells me to let it chill and kind of let things stay back. So I'm not Johnny Bagholder up here just in a longer term from WTC's perspective. But outside of that, I thought those were really the two interesting market movements on the day. Again, for the most part in crypto, it's been an interesting day in terms of a slight pullback as far as yesterday's really nice movement for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for a lot of these cryptocurrencies, but there have been a few kind of outliers that have really had some really positive and negative movements, with Zcash being kind of the crazy ride, and then WaltonCoin also just having that steady rise up 500%. So that's been funny. That's been interesting to see. And again, guys, if you are new here, my name is Rob from Crypto Bobby, so hit that subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate that. And if you are already subscribed, do me a favor and throw a like onto the video. It just helps spread the level a little bit around. So hopefully this type of analysis where I'm just talking about some market movements and how you can hopefully avoid getting really badly burned is helpful for you. Thank you guys so much for your time. Rob from Crypto Bobby. Hope you have a good one. Peace.